In the grand chronicle of medieval India, where empires rose and fell like waves upon the sands of time, the Delhi Sultanate stands as one of the most fascinating chapters. Within its history, rulers came and went, some remembered for conquest, others for cruelty, and a few for vision and order. Among these, one man emerged from humble beginnings to become a symbol of strength, justice, and resilience: Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty, the Builder King. His story begins not in a palace, but in the dust of service, as a soldier, a man of the battlefield, and a dreamer with iron discipline. In a world where birth determined destiny, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq rose by merit, courage, and intelligence. And when he finally grasped the throne of Delhi, he did not use his power for personal grandeur alone. Instead, he sought to rebuild a kingdom that had been broken by greed, rebellion, and decay. His reign was short, lasting barely 5 years, from 1320 to 1325, but those years left a lasting mark on India's political and architectural history. To understand the rise of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, one must look back at the crumbling end of the Khalji dynasty. Alauddin Khalji, the great conqueror, had built an empire stretching across much of India. But after his death, his successors fell into chaos. Palace intrigues, assassinations, and betrayal consumed Delhi. Nobles plotted against one another, soldiers deserted, and the people grew weary of instability. Out of this storm of confusion rose Ghazi Malik, a man of mixed Turk and Indian heritage, a loyal officer in the Khalji army, and a man known for his sense of justice. It is said that when the Mongols threatened India from the north, Ghazi Malik was among those who fought bravely at the frontier. His courage and leadership earned him respect, but his loyalty to Alauddin Khalji and later to his weak successors made him a target of envy at court. When the palace conspiracies deepened under the rule of Qutbuddin Mubarak Shah, Ghazi Malik's sense of duty clashed with the corruption around him. According to chroniclers, he once warned Mubarak Shah that the kingdom was falling into ruin, but his advice was ignored, and soon the Khalji dynasty collapsed under its own weight. In 1320, when rebellion and anarchy engulfed Delhi, Ghazi Malik seized the moment to restore order. He defeated the usurper Khusrau Khan, a court favorite who had murdered the last Khalji ruler. The people of Delhi, tired of bloodshed and chaos, welcomed him as their savior. He took the throne and assumed the title of Sultan Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq Shah, founding a new dynasty that promised justice, discipline, and peace. From the very start, Ghiyasuddin's vision was clear. He wanted to rebuild, to reform, and to strengthen. The empire he inherited was vast but fragile, filled with rebellious governors, drained finances, and weakened institutions. His reign was not one of reckless expansion, but of careful restoration. He was not merely a soldier king. He was an administrator, a builder, and a man who valued order above everything else. One of the first things he did was to reestablish law and discipline across the land. He restored confidence in governance by making the administration efficient and fair. Corrupt officials were dismissed, and justice was delivered with speed. Chroniclers like Barani tell us that Ghiyasuddin would personally oversee cases to ensure fairness. He was known for his strict sense of justice, so strict that even nobles feared to act unlawfully. For him, justice was the pillar upon which a kingdom must rest. Yet despite his sternness, he was not cruel. His firmness came from a desire to protect the people, not to oppress them. In an age when rulers often viewed their subjects as tools for taxation, Ghiyasuddin saw them as the foundation of the state. He reduced unnecessary taxes, supported agriculture, and took steps to improve trade. His rule brought a sense of stability that Delhi had not felt in years. But Ghiyasuddin was not content with restoring order alone. He was a builder, one who understood that great architecture is more than stone and mortar. It is the expression of a ruler's vision and the soul of his empire. Among his greatest achievements was the creation of a new capital, Tughlaqabad. Tughlaqabad was not merely a city, it was a statement of power, security, and grandeur. Rising on the rocky hills south of Delhi, it was built with massive walls of gray stone, bastions, and towers that seemed to grow out of the earth itself. It was a fortress city, strong, majestic, and enduring. The architecture reflected Ghiyasuddin's personality, solid, disciplined, and purposeful. Every block of stone seemed to echo his belief that strength and order were the essence of good governance. But even as he built his dream city, legend tells of conflict between the Sultan and a saint, Nizamuddin Auliya, the beloved Sufi mystic of Delhi. The story goes that while Ghiyasuddin demanded laborers for the construction of Tughlaqabad, Nizamuddin was also building a baoli, a stepwell, for the people. When workers were forced to leave the saint's project to serve the Sultan, tensions arose. It is said that Nizamuddin uttered a curse, Ya Rahe Ujar, Ya Bas Gujar, meaning, may this city remain deserted, or may it be inhabited by herdsmen. Whether true or not, history shows that Tughlaqabad was soon abandoned after the Sultan's death, and the prophecy seemed fulfilled. Still, the city remains one of the most striking examples of medieval Indian architecture. Its walls, gateways, and tombs still whispering the story of a ruler who tried to give permanence to his vision. The tomb of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, located near Tughlaqabad, is itself a masterpiece. Built of red sandstone and white marble, it stands within a fortified enclosure connected to the city by a stone causeway. The tomb's simplicity and symmetry reflect the Sultan's disciplined mind. It is perhaps one of the earliest examples of the Indo-Islamic architectural style that would later flourish under the Mughals. Ghiyasuddin's reign was not only about building cities but also about strengthening frontiers. The Mongol threat had always haunted northern India. To safeguard his empire, he repaired old forts, built new ones, and reorganized the army. His campaigns in the Deccan and Bengal showed both his military skill and his political shrewdness. When the governor of Bengal rebelled, Ghiyasuddin sent his son, Prince Muhammad bin Tughlaq, to restore order. The campaign was successful, and Bengal was brought back under Delhi's control. This episode also revealed a glimpse of the future, a father who valued discipline and a son whose ambition would one day surpass all limits. Ghiyasuddin admired his son's intelligence and courage, but perhaps he did not foresee the storm that would follow. For now, the empire seemed at peace. The treasury was full, the roads were safe, and the people were content. Ghiyasuddin's administration was marked by careful planning and accountability. He believed in rewarding merit and punishing corruption. He appointed capable governors and established a chain of communication between the capital and the provinces. Records suggest that he kept a close eye on the empire's revenues and expenditures, ensuring that every coin was used wisely. His insistence on honesty and order made his government one of the most efficient in the Sultanate's history. In many ways, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was a man ahead of his time. He combined military discipline with administrative vision and faith with practicality. He was deeply religious, yet not intolerant. He respected Islamic law, but also recognized the need to govern a diverse population. He treated Hindus and Muslims alike with justice and fairness. Many Hindu chiefs served in his administration, and trade between communities flourished under his rule. However, fate often moves with irony. Just as Ghiyasuddin's reign seemed to reach its height, destiny prepared a cruel twist. In 1325, after a successful campaign in Bengal, he returned to Delhi. His son, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, prepared a grand reception in his honor near Afghanpur. A magnificent wooden pavilion was built for the celebration, decorated with silks, lamps, and precious metals. But during the festivities, tragedy struck. The pavilion collapsed suddenly, killing the Sultan beneath its weight. Whether this was an accident or a conspiracy remains one of history's lingering mysteries. Some chroniclers hinted that Mohammed bin Tughlaq might have had a hand in his father's death, driven by ambition. Others believe it was a simple misfortune, a structure built too hastily to impress the returning king. Whatever the truth, the death of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq marked the end of an era, the fall of a ruler who had tried to bring stability after years of chaos. The people mourned him deeply. To them, he had been a just ruler, stern but fair, powerful yet compassionate. His sudden death left the empire in the hands of his son, whose reign would take the Delhi Sultanate to new heights and new disasters. But that is another story. When we look back at Ghiyasuddin's legacy, what stands out is not the length of his reign, but the strength of his vision. In just 5 years, he laid the foundations of a dynasty that would rule for nearly a century. He built not just cities and forts, but systems of governance that balanced faith and reason, authority and compassion. He showed that leadership is not about endless wars, but about building lasting institutions. His architectural style, simple, bold, and functional, influenced generations of builders. His city, though abandoned, inspired later capitals like Firozabad and Tughlaqabad's successors. His tomb remains one of the most admired monuments of the early 14th century, a fitting symbol of a ruler who found beauty in strength and order in design. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq's life also reflects the timeless theme of rise from obscurity. Born not in privilege, but in perseverance, he climbed the ladder of destiny through sheer will. His story reminds us that greatness does not always come from royal blood. Sometimes it is forged in the fires of service, discipline, and duty. He lived in an age when empires were fragile, when treachery lurked behind every smile, and when rulers often succumbed to greed or vanity. Yet, Ghiyasuddin stood apart, a man who valued law, justice, and the welfare of his people above all else. His reign, though short, brought a sense of calm to a troubled land, and in that calm, he built cities, fortresses, and legacies that still stand today as silent witnesses to his strength. Even the ruins of Tughlaqabad speak his language, austere, powerful, and eternal. When the evening sun touches the gray stones of its walls, they glow with a reddish hue, as if still carrying the warmth of his vision. The city he built may have been abandoned, but his idea of order, justice, and stability endured. History often celebrates conquerors who burn cities, but perhaps the true greatness lies with those who build them. Ghiyasuddin was one such builder. He understood that a ruler's duty was not to leave ashes behind, but foundations, strong enough to withstand the storms of time. And even though his dynasty would later struggle under the weight of ambition and chaos, his model of disciplined governance became the standard by which later rulers were judged. When we study his life today, more than 7 centuries later, we see a reflection of timeless leadership, the kind that balances strength with fairness, vision with humility. In an age of constant change, his story reminds us that order and justice are the bedrocks upon which civilization stands. So, as the sun sets over the ruins of Tughlaqabad, one cannot help but imagine the echo of Ghiyasuddin's footsteps, the steady stride of a soldier who became a king who became a builder, and a builder who became a legend. And perhaps in that silence, one may still hear the unspoken questions that history always leaves behind. What does it truly mean to build? Is it the act of raising walls or the act of shaping lives? Is it the creation of stone monuments or the creation of trust and justice among people? Can a ruler's greatness be measured in the height of his citadels or in the strength of his fairness? And most importantly, in a world that remembers the destroyers more than the builders, will we still recognize the quiet greatness of men like Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, the Builder King?